everyone. This is Mayyada Wazaify from the University of Jordan, and I'm happy to be among you today in this conference to talk about anabolic steroid use in the Middle East. Hopefully, after the end of the pandemic, we are going to meet in person sometime. So let's start our lecture. The topics that I'm going to cover in the coming 20 minutes, we are going to talk about the Middle East and the authorities in the Middle East, research about the anabolic steroids use, and what the research has revealed regarding the gymnasium's practice, profile, regimens, the reasons, the knowledge and understanding of the anabolic steroids and the is Middle East. The Middle East is a transcontinental region in Afro-Eurasia, which generally extends from Turkey at the north to Yemen in the south and from Egypt in the west to Iran in the east. It is made up of a vast number of ethnic groups, and as of 2016, the region has an estimated population of over 411 million. The majority of people in the Middle East are Muslim, and that's why it's important to talk about androgenic anabolic steroid in the Middle East, since the Islamic faith prohibits intoxication from alcohol and the use of substances or behaviors that induce addiction, such as illicit drugs or gambling. However, users of anabolic steroids or Muslim users of anabolic steroids in the Middle East perceive these substances differently. Since research by Van Hout and Keen in 2015 found that those users felt that these substances led them to be in control of and promoted their perceptions of their physical and spiritual health and were not harmful at the same time, thus circumventing religious parameters. This is what is unique or different from the use of anabolic steroids in other regions in the world. Under the umbrella of the World Anti-Doping Agency, in the Middle East, we have 9 national anti-doping agencies and several regional anti-doping agencies that contain some countries of the Middle East. As you know, that the program of the regional anti-doping organizations has been created by the WADA in 2004 in order to strengthen the protection of clean sport by developing an innovative anti-doping strategies for those countries that most needed it. The program supports underfunded and understaffed national anti-doping organizations and national Olympic committees. All countries in the Middle East, they contain either national anti-doping agencies, as I said, in total there are 9, but the rest of countries that don't contain anti-doping agencies contain Olympic committees. Coming from Jordan, I have to say that the Jordanian Anti-Doping Organization was founded in 2007, and in response to the increasing concern about steroid abuse among Jordanian youth, the JADO, the Jordan Anti-Doping Organization, accepted the World Anti-Doping Code late in 2009, committing Jordan to fighting all types of sports doping, including androgenic anabolic steroid abuse. In Jordan, after the death of a 22-year-old bodybuilder in 2011, the Jordan Food and Drug Administration, the JFDA, issued new directives prohibiting the circulation or importation of any foods classified as dietary or sport performance enhancing without JFDA license. Moreover, these directives prohibit the use of such supplements under the age of 14 years and require the package label to be in clear, easy-to-read Arabic language. Speaking about research in the Middle East about androgenic anabolic steroids, in general, the published literature about this topic is limited and goes back to 2006, so it is relatively new. There aren't plenty of studies, actually. What I could find was around 40 studies between years 2006 and 2020. Most of the studies come from Iran, around 14 studies, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia 8, Kuwait 4, and then you can find 1 or 2 or 3 studies from different countries like Iraq, Qatar, Bahrain, Turkey. So in this presentation, I'm going to talk broadly about the similarities or the findings in countries in general. And I'm going to use data mainly from the scoping review by Hearn et al. 2000. Work that we have conducted in Jordan regarding this issue. In Jordan, we have around 4 or 5 studies. Doping in gymnasiums in Amman, the other side of prescription and non-prescription drug abuse. In this study, we have conducted a survey covering 352 gym clients in the years 2012-2013 to find the prevalence of anabolic steroid use was 8.8%. In comparison to other study that was conducted in Jordan, the prevalence was 26%, but the difference between the two studies is that the first study, this one with the 8%, included all gym clients, whereas the second focused on 154 or included 154 athletes, bodybuilding athletes. And this explains the high. Talking about first about gymnasium practice in the Middle East. If you look at the literature, actually you could find all types of practice: gymnastics, bodybuilding clubs, sports centers, rec centers, athletic clubs, martial art. And the range of gym use ranged between less than 6 months and more than 10 years, with the majority between 2 and 4 years. This table is from the Jordanian study, and you can see that the majority of those who use gyms in this study, 70% actually were amateur. Okay, and the last continuous training period was either less than 3 months and more than 3 years. The sports included were mainly bodybuilding and more than one type of sports. The purpose of training was mainly, again, more than one and build up muscles. Of the profile of anabolic steroid users in the Middle East, if you look at the literature, you could find that plenty of similarity with the literature in the West. Most users are male, single, and in full-time employment, similar to that reported in the UK, Australia, and the USA. One study in Iran, 25% of the female users or the female athletes used anabolic steroids. So this study actually was conducted in a female-only gyms and reported that quarter of the females reported using anabolic steroids. The age range of anabolic steroid users in the Middle East was between 14 and 60, with a majority between 18 and 34. The marital status differed by country. In Iran, Kuwait, Lebanon, it was mainly single. In Saudi Arabia and the Emirates, there was no difference, half-half, okay, single and married. Most users were in the higher education status, which is similar to other studies reported in Australia and the regarding the regimens, actually, the predominant route of administration reported in the Middle East was injecting or both routes, injecting and oral. And the person who injects was mainly the coach or another athlete or teammate or self. The duration of anabolic steroid use ranged between less than 1 month and more than 5 years. The most commonly reported injectable anabolic steroids were testosterone and nandrolone decanoate, and the most common oral anabolic steroid used were methaneandrostenolone and stanozolol. The use of growth hormone was limited to only 4 studies. As I said, stanozolol and testosterone injectable and methaneandrostenolone for the oral. Okay, the average products per participant was reported to be 4.8. So 31 participants or clients used 46 products, not only anabolic steroids, different doping products. And that gives us an average of 4.8 per participant. This is actually a study that was conducted in Saudi Arabia and that I like to share with you. The study actually analyzed databases of the Saudi Arabian Anti-Doping Committee from 2008 to May 2016. The samples originated from various sporting events and were collected in and outside of sport competitions. The substances investigated were those included in the annual lists of prohibited substances produced by the WADA. All urine samples were tested in labs accredited by the WADA in Saudi Arabia. And the findings actually revealed that 141 samples out of 4,482 were positive. So the total were 4,482, okay, out of which 141 urine samples tested positive. That gives us a prevalence of 3.1% of prohibited substances detected. The prevalence of positive samples was highest in 2012. The prevalence was 6.6, and the lowest was in 2015. That's 1%. The most prevalent prohibited substances detected were anabolic steroids with a percentage of, as you can see here, 32.8, followed by stimulants. This table shows us the sports with the highest number of positive samples detected among all sports subjected to anti-doping testing in the study by Al-Ghubain in 2017, Saudi Arabia, between 2008 and 2016. As you can see that the highest positive results were reported among bodybuilders, that is 22 positive samples out of 32. In which the most common substance was boldenone, which is an animal anabolic steroid, and it's a non-prescription drug for humans in Saudi Arabia, followed by methanedienone among weightlifting athletes. The main reported reasons to use anabolic steroids in the Middle East among all studies can be summarized by improving image, increasing muscle mass or improving strength, to achieve attractiveness, improve athletic performance, increase self-confidence and social recognition. And lastly, another reason was due to advice from friends. Regarding the knowledge and understanding of the anabolic steroids concept and adverse effects among users, most participants were aware of the anabolic effects of anabolic steroids in all studies. However, in some countries like United Arab Emirates, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Iran, there was an inadequate knowledge of adverse effects. In one study in Iran, some users reported to continue to use the anabolic steroids despite knowledge of adverse effects. In another study in Kuwait, it was believed that the benefits of anabolic steroids on muscle growth outweighed its adverse harmful effects, and this explained why some people continued to use despite knowledge or awareness of adverse effects. In one study in Saudi Arabia, 77% of participants who self-declared knowledge of the adverse effects of anabolic steroids said that they would still recommend them to friends. And Hiti et al. In Lebanon noted that users of anabolic steroids were more likely to consume alcohol daily than non-users. A result actually that I found in Jordan that more than a quarter of participants 28% stated that they never heard of anabolic steroids or the Arabic equivalent, that is الهرمونات البنائية أو الاستيرويدية. Who knew most about the anabolic steroids? Out of the 68.6% remaining who knew about the anabolic steroids, 100% were the mixed martial arts athletes, and 87% of the Muay Thai athletes, and 81% of the bodybuilding athletes or bodybuilders. The least percentage was among basketball players. Those who reported that they knew about anabolic steroids reported different sources of knowledge. In 30% of them, there was more than one source of knowledge, most of which was friends, which counted for 10.8%, internet 10.2%, and well, it is evident at the end that the use of androgenic anabolic steroids in the Middle East is an emerging phenomenon at early stages of diffusion when compared to the UK, US, and Australia. The current controlling methods are ineffective, so it is recommended that the classification of androgenic anabolic steroids become more strict. As you could see from talking about the research in certain countries, that many of these drugs can be bought without prescription in several countries. So we recommend that the classification gets more strict instead of prescription medications or over-the-counter, to become more controlled. Number two, to increase the awareness of the public regarding the dangers and adverse effects of inappropriate use of androgenic anabolic steroids, since research, as you could see, revealed lack of knowledge among many of the participants of anabolic steroids. Number three, it is recommended that the harm reduction or the prevention of inappropriate use of androgenic anabolic steroids becomes multidisciplinary, with the promotion of the role of the pharmacist, since they are the first line of defense in pharmacies and they are accessible to most of the general public. Further qualitative research, number four, further qualitative research is needed in order to identify and prevent the abuse of androgenic anabolic steroids. And I would like to thank you for listening, and if you have any question, I will be happy to answer.